Welcome to the AC 24/7 Top Story Countdown. I'm Sonia Baghdadi. We'll guide you through the biggest headlines of the day. Our focus, advocating our rights, advocating health, and advocating Earth. Here's our pick for number 5.
The countdown to Halloween, Thanksgiving, and winter holidays is on, and experts say now is a great time to tackle your expenses to avoid a financial holiday hangover.
First and foremost, Christmas happens every year on the same day, so knowing that it's coming, allow yourself the time to prepare.
Here are 3 tips to prepare and make the most of the upcoming season while keeping your budget in check. 1. Plan your shopping and expenses ahead. Decide in advance how much you need for this holiday season and start putting money aside now.
Create a Christmas or a holiday sinking fund so that you're earmarking money that's specifically designated for the holidays and you're not forced to dip into your emergency fund.
Tip number 2, audit your spending. Look carefully at your typical monthly spending, checking for areas where you can cut back now to better manage any additional spending you want to do later.
So you want to be able to have your ducks in a row. You want to have your finances organized. You want to have cash on hand.
And tip number 3, if you're planning to travel, book early and consider international destinations. With one travel expert saying some overseas flights may be cheaper than domestic options.
There's just going to be a lot more deals on flights to Europe, a lot more deals on flights within Europe, deals on hotels in Europe going forward into the fall, into the winter, and beyond.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
You can stream the Advocate channel now. Download our Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, or Google Play Store app for instant access. The countdown continues with number 4.
It all started on December 29th. Flu, strep, and COVID tests were all negative, but Ron Rosas felt incredibly ill.
They tested me and found that I had pneumonia, and then things just progressed.
Within hours of being taken to the ER, this 52-year-old was intubated and on a vent.
Time in the middle of the night, they already knew he was septic and really struggling just to live.
Rosas survived, but tissue in his lower legs and parts of his arms did not. He was told those limbs would have to be amputated, including the arm he uses to play the sport he's loved for decades. Rosas was part of the 1992 Notre Dame tennis team that played for a national championship. He says his quality of life after limb loss depended on his tennis arm.
Having that joint was essential.
Instead of rushing into surgery, Rosas found Dr. David Sousa with Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center.
Without any sort of hesitation, he said, "My goal is to play tennis."
Sousa has a history of helping veterans with limb loss and believed he could help Rosas. It involved nearly 70 hours of surgeries over several weeks.
With his right arm, we not only added healthy tissue, but we brought 3 small muscles from his chest wall and then plugged in the nerves that used to control the hand.
They were able to reconstruct the entire arm. He actually has the muscle function to be able to control his prosthetics himself.
Rosas hopes others facing limb loss will seek out their options.
I can truly say that, I am experiencing, very little pain.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
TheAdvocateChannel.com looks at the world through the lens of equality and inclusion. Subscribe, like, and share now. AC 24/7's Top Story Countdown continues with our producer's pick for number 3.
The tentative deal does not immediately end the strike, and no one will return to work until authorized by the Writers Guild of America. The historic work stoppage froze production and paralyzed much of Hollywood. The terms of the agreement were not immediately known.
Thank you,
A crowd of Hollywood writers burst into celebration as word spreads of a tentative agreement with the major studios.
We're trying to save writers' ability to pay their rent, to pay for a mortgage, to put kids through school, to save for a rainy day.
It's a significant turning point for the nearly 5-month-long strike. Days of marathon negotiating sessions began last week once the CEOs of 4 major studios actively joined the conversation.
I feel like they realize, I actually need to be present and actually hear what the writers and our workers are saying, because I don't think they really thought we were serious.
The deal still needs to be ratified, but the WGA released a statement saying they could authorize members to return to work before that, when leadership meets on Tuesday.
All right, everybody. everybody.
Daytime and late night talk shows will likely be the first to return to your screens, but most other major productions will have to wait for their actors. SAG-AFTRA, representing about 160,000 actors, also hit the picket lines mid-July. There is hope that the studio's agreement with the writers will also allow it to reach a deal with the actors.
This is a really significant window of opportunity these next couple of weeks. If we were able to get back to the table and talk, there's a small possibility you could get things into production before the holidays.
Even with a deal, the Hollywood machine cannot start turning again until the alliance resolves its disputes with SAG-AFTRA, which again represents more than 150,000 actors. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Like the Advocate channel on Facebook for the best way to get updated stories that advocate for equality, justice, our rights, and more. AC 24/7 continues with today's top 2 pick.
The mighty Mississippi, weakened by months of blistering heat and low rainfall, now vulnerable to a new threat, saltwater intrusion.
We don't believe that there's sufficient precipitation in the near term anywhere along the Mississippi River to materially change the conditions for the better.
With no significant rain relief in sight, experts say a saltwater wedge from the Gulf of Mexico will push upriver and could mix with drinking water systems in places like New Orleans. To mitigate the risk, Louisiana officials and the Army Corps of Engineers will start delivering millions of gallons of fresh water to at-risk treatment facilities from plants located above the saltwater wedge.
That water then can be combined with water at the treatment facilities to create a mixture that is safe for treatment.
Engineers also plan to add 25 feet to an existing underwater levee, or sill, designed to slow the saltwater wedge's progression north, temporarily.
Without significant rain in the immediate future, the augmented saltwater sill will too be overtopped.
Louisiana's governor declared a state of emergency to tap federal assistance earlier this month and announced plans to send shipments of bottled water to New Orleans.
We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're bringing every resource to bear that is reasonably necessary to help us deal with this challenge.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Follow the Advocate channel on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on stories that matter every day. We're now at our #1 story of the day. Take a look.
During 22 years in the Navy, Karen Salt says she spent her career looking over her shoulder, afraid a fellow sailor might turn her in or worse, and CIS would uncover the life she had to hide as a gay woman in the military.
They would try to root us out. They would try to catch one person, bring that person in, interrogate that person, have that person turn on a bunch of us. Next thing you know, there'd be a whole swoop of people that would be discharged.
In a forthcoming memoir called Hiding from My Life, Salt called these witch hunts. On the USS Frank Cable, Salt says she already faced discrimination as part of the first generation of female sailors allowed to serve on ships. Though she left the military on her own terms, she says concealing her sexuality created long-term scars from which she is still healing.
When I got out in 2006, I thought I would be free. And what happened for me was that I was still looking over my shoulder, because for 22 years, I had been looking over my shoulder. And so that did not go away. That was very conditioned into me.
12 years after the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, the Defense Department is trying to take another step toward righting that wrong.
Even if the department didn't see it then, we see it now. We see you now.
For the first time, the Defense Department will proactively reach out to veterans discharged for homosexual conduct to correct and update their military records, as well as reviewing records of veterans who may be able to upgrade their discharge. Since 1980, more than 32,000 service members were discharged from the military under the homosexual conduct policy, according to DoD. When the Obama administration repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell in 2011, and it became legal to serve in the military as an open member of the LGBTQ community, some, but not all, eligible service members applied to change their military records to honorable discharges, removing a stigma and giving them access to veterans' benefits. Advocates say the latest effort is an important statement in support of LGBTQ+ rights, especially now.
I think in an era where right-wing extremists have plunged the LGBTQ+ community into a state of crisis, into a state of emergency, it matters to have an administration that's willing to go back and try to make wrongs right.